Space Marines, Orcs, Eldar, Nightstalkers, Chips, Beans, Bees, Crisps, Orange, Vacuums, Toast, PCs. Well, another video for King's War, and this one is all about the Nightstalkers. Now, the Nightstalkers are one of the most original forces in any gaming system, as I don't think there's many like them. I think possibly the nearest game that's made anything remotely similar is Wild West Exodus, because some of the more monstrous, I suppose you could say, models kind of have this weird shadowy Cthulhu-esque approach. These kind of do that, but with less tentacles and more claws, teeth, maybe a little bit of tentacles in between, maybe a little bit. Some of them might have come from dead souls of, say, dwarves, of giant cyclop things, of elven mages and such other things. Some of them have come from our manifestations of feelings, of thoughts, of emotions, shall we say. Like, for instance, the Fiends come from jealousy and rage and such like. They basically started off as one of the Shining Ones, which is the holy god people that the Basileans really are into. Came to the elves and took a load of them back to the realm. Ophizian, I think is called, or she's called, it's called. Not entirely sure on that one. But he showed them all this new universe, realm, whatever, and they were really amazed. While this was going off, some idiot smashed the mirror that the that Ophizian came out of, and so his essence was broke apart and he became more evil. And that's essentially where the Nightstalkers came from. Mostly, some of them kind of follow the Nightstalkers along because of where they came from. It's kind of tagging along, seeing where they go, sort of thing. So if you're following along in the big book, on page 369, they are alignment evil, surprisingly enough, and the armor special upgrade is the Scream Shard. Once per game, before the unit rolls to damage in melee, you may choose to give the unit the Light Sleeve 2 special rule for the remainder of the turn. The unit's Scream Shard is then destroyed and cannot be used again for the remainder of the game. It's really good how they've worded that, because usually with these sort of things you have to declare them at the start of the turn or start of the phase. This one, it's before you actually attack, which I think is the best way for it. If you do it at the start of the turn, it's a case of, I might get in charge distance, I might not, but oh, I've used it, sort of thing. But with this, you decide after you've charged in effectively, which is pretty good. The Reapers are the unit that will get the biggest benefit out of this, because their hero variant has an aura which gives all Reapers within the aura range, which aura's a 6-inch unless you've got upgrades, leech life 1. So comboed with this, each Reaper within 6-inch, each Reaper unit within 6-inch will get leech life 3 for 1 turn, which is pretty good. So starting with the infantry then, on page 369. Starting with the Scarecrows, speed 4, melee 5+, defense 3+. Regiment, 15 attacks, nerve -14, 80 points. Horde, 30 attacks, nerve -21, 130 points. Legion, 35 attacks, nerve -27, 190 points. They've got Mind Thirst, Stealthy, Wild Charge D3, and can take a Scream Shard for 5 points. In most cases, I'd say go for a Scream Shard, because 5 points, it's really not that bad, and to give Leech Life 2 is pretty decent. Another upgrade would probably give it's the hammer of something that means the unit always hits on 4s regardless of penalties and such like, which again is pretty good considering they need 5s normally. I'd take them at Horde level, to be honest. Legion's pretty good because a nerve of 27 is brilliant for 190 points. But a Horde, I mean, nerve of dash 21, 30 attacks for 130 points is pretty decent. I mean, speed of 4 with wild charge D3, minimum charge distance of 9, maximum charge distance of 11. So it's not that bad. I mean, stealthy means it's -1 to hit them from range. So that's always good. And Mind Thirst uses your opponent's heroes for inspiring, which is always funny. I like Scarecrows. I won't take them as a regiment. The nerve and attacks are a bit too short for what they need to be. I mean, they are just chaff. They are there to be cheap. They are there to mob stuff down. And that's basically all they're there for. But I like them because they just look weird. I suppose that's kind of the Nightstalker thing. It just looks weird. Next we have the Bloodworms. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 4+. Regiment 15 attacks, nerve 11-14, 120 points. Horde 30 attacks, nerve 18-21, 200 points. Legion 40 attacks, nerve 24-27, 290 points. Leech Life 2, Mind Thirst and Stealthy. These are pretty decent. They're a bit faster than Scarecrows, they hit a bit better, they've got a bit better defense, and they've all got Leech Life 2 implemented, and they've got a few more attacks if you take a Legion. I mean, any of them's not too bad. Yes, their nerve is a bit worse because they can be wavered, but as a regiment they hit on, well, as any, they hit on 4s, and the defense is 4 rather than 3. I would not rely on these too much, because if you take them as Legion, they do get a little bit expensive, but 40 attacks with a nerve of 24-27, and with Leech Life 2 already included, as a proper thing, that's not too bad. I mean, even as a regiment, normally I'd say don't bother with the regiment, but 15 attacks ain't awful, and they've all got Leech Life 2, which means you're always getting the wounds back when you cause damage, which hitting on 4s, chances are you will cause a few wounds at least, which is what you need. And not forgetting everything's got Stealthy. Next we have the Reapers then. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 4+. Troop 10-20 attacks, nerve 10-12, 135 points. Regiment 25 attacks, nerve 14-16, 210 points. Crush strength 1, Mind Thirst and Stealthy. Can take a Scream Shard for 5 points. I would always take a Scream Shard on these because, like I said earlier, you combo the Scream Shard with the hero variant and you have got an amazing Leech Leaf for 1 turn, or Leech Life 1, as long as you're within 6 inch of the hero variant, which is nice. I'd honestly take them as a troop. They're one of the few units that's non-shooting based in this game that I'd take as a troop. Reason being is the difference in attack and nerve, I don't feel, is about 75 points different, I don't feel, because that's the points different from a troop to a regiment. I'd keep them as a troop because speed 6, you're getting charge range of 12 inch, hit on 3s with 20 attacks, crushing strength 1. I mean, come on, there's nothing really else to say that they can hit hard and they hit well. They will, I mean, they are going to die, but once they get into combat with something, that unit is really gonna feel the pain. Put them against weak stuff if you want. Don't put them against things like Earth Elementals, something that's defense 6, really tough. Because yes, it might cause a few wounds, but not enough. Anything defense 5 or lower, you've got a good chance of doing some damage. But I'd use them for weak or mid-range things. Maybe use them against Hordes and Legions of Chaff. They they've got the attacks to make them a problem, and if your opponent don't take them out, then they are going to be a major problem to your opponent. Lastly, we have the Doppelgangers. Speed 5, melee 5+, defense 4+. Regiment, 10 attacks, nerve 15-17, 145 points. Mind-Thirst and Stealthy, and they've got Doppelganger rule, which reads as follows. When this unit attacks an enemy unit in melee, it may opt to use the enemy's profile for its melee attacks instead of its own. If it does so, then it uses the enemy unit's melee stat, attack stat and crushing strength value for that turn instead of its own. Any magic artifacts the enemy unit has are ignored. The Doppelgangers themselves may still use a magic artifact as normal if they have one. Apply any bonuses granted after the decision on which stats to use. These can potentially be broken. Reason being is they can go after anything and they can really damage pretty much anything. They can be used against big things. They can be used against Horde units or Legion units. They can be used against heroes, I suppose, if you want. They can be used against Titans. They have so much choice, it's not even funny. And for 145 points, you can just go mad. It might not look like that impressive when it comes to attacks and melee, but that Doppelganger kind of overrides it for the most part. And their nerve for a regiment, 15-17, that's nothing to scoff about. Most regiments would dream to have nerve that decent. Would I put a magical artifact on them? Maybe. The thing is, you are relying on what your opponent's got to help you, and there are a few out there that they could really be affected by. I'll just have a quick spiz. I mean, you could have the Brew of Sharpness. You could have the Brew of Strength. Oh my god. Oh, the Brew of Strength on them. Oh, that's nasty. Chalice of Wrath gives them fly. Oh wow. What else we got that could be broken? Pipes of Terror, giving them brutal. Yeah, that's not bad. I think they're probably the best ones, to be honest, to go for. But like I said, I think Doppelganger could be broken. I think they need a little bit of a points cost increase, Mantic. Probably 150, 155 points, I think. So, next we have the Heavy Infantry on page 369. There's only one, and they are the Phantoms, and they are regular. Speed 10, melee 4+, defense 4+. Troop 12 attacks, nerve -12, 105 points. Regiment 15 attacks, nerve -16, 160 points. Fly, Mind-Thirst, Nimble, and Stealthy, and can take a Scream Shard for 5 points. Phantoms are basically useful versions of Harpies / Gargoyles. I have never seen a more useless unit than Harpies / Gargoyles. Phantoms at least have the nerve value and Stealthy to make up for the fact they don't have much else going off for them. And you can take them as a regiment, which Harpies and Gargoyles you can't. So at least there's that for them. They're kind of used in the similar way, I suppose, where you can outflank, fly about, annoy enemies a little bit. But apart from that, I really can't see the point of them, to be honest, but that's just me. The Ranged Infantry on page 370. They are the Spectres, and unlike a lot of Ranged Infantry, they are not irregular. Speed 6, melee 6+, range 5+, defense 3+. Troop 8 attacks, nerve 9-11, 90 points. Regiment 10 attacks, nerve 13-15, 120 points. Horde 20 attacks, nerve 20-22, 200 points. Mind-Thirst, Pathfinder and Stealthy, and they've got Shadow Bolts which are 18-inch range, piercing 1. I'd have them as a Horde. To be honest, having them as a troop is just pointless because hitting on 5s with less than 10 attacks, that's not going to be that useful. A regiment, they've got the bare minimum of attacks needed to be at least fair, half decent, but I just have them as a horde. The problem with that being is that they're 200 points, and that 200 points can be spent better elsewhere. Ultimately, I'm going to have to say no to the Spectres because the range on the shooting isn't that good, their accuracy at range isn't that good, and I just don't think they're that good. Next we have the Cavalry on page 370. There's only one, and they are the Shadowhounds, and they're regular. Speed 9, melee 4+, defense 4+. Troop 10 attacks, nerve 11-13, 225 points. Regiment 20 attacks, nerve 14-16, 190 points. Mindthirst, nimble, regeneration 5+, stealthy, thunderous charge 1. These are not bad. I'd have them as a regiment because as a troop they're just a bit meh with the nerve. Especially have them as a regiment, have them outflanking. I mean, just have them on the charge, I suppose, against mid stuff like cavalry and small units of infantry, I suppose. They've got thunderous charge 1. They've got regeneration. That's the main thing. They've got regeneration. Otherwise, they're a bit hit and miss. But that's the thing. They're fast. They've got stealthy regeneration. That's the main things you need to know about them. They're not bad. I'd probably have 1 or 2 units of them. I won't go mad with them, but 1 or 2 here and there. 1 or 2 here and there. Next we have the Swarm on page 370. They are the Needlefangs, and they're a regular. Speed 7, melee 5+, defense 2+. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 9-11, 80 points. Horde 24 attacks, nerve 12-14, 135 points. Fly, Mindthirst, nimble, stealthy, strider. They're all flavours alright. Have them as a horde with a hell of a lot of attacks. The nerve is alright. The hit not that great. That's why you hoard them out. Just have them as a horde. Other than that, nah. I just won't bother. The thing with the Needlefangs is they can fly and they've got stealthy. That is the main thing. Striders are helpful, but fly and stealthy are your main benefits to have Needlefangs. Other than that, they're all shades of alright, I suppose. So the large infantry then, on page 370. There's only one, and they are the Butchers. Speed 6, melee 4+, defense 5+. Regiment 9 attacks, nerve -15, 125 points. Horde 18 attacks, nerve -18, 205 points. They've got crushing strength 2, mindthirst and stealthy. This is where the big stuff starts. Right, your small stuff, you have it there to cause a lot of damage. Your small stuff will die, probably. In fact, with stuff like the Scarecrows and the Bloodworms and the Reapers, most definitely. However, that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to cause as much damage before they die. Your big stuff, starting with the Butchers, is there to mop up and just wipe your opponent away afterwards. And that's the thing with them. Because near enough everything's got stealthy, not really that much your opponent can do about it when they've got a shooting army. Dwarves are going to hate this army. But yeah, large stuff, for instance, like the Butchers, they just plough forward and just smash things. Take a fair few wounds off a unit, or maybe kill a unit, and then have these mop up stuff in front and behind them and just go to town. I wouldn't rely hugely on Butchers. They are there just to punch through. They're just solid punching things. They haven't got anything special in terms of sneaky advantages apart from stealthy, like I just said. But they're fearless and they've got crushing strength too, which is fairly decent, and I don't think they're that bad point costed. Monsters then, on page 370. Starting with the Mind Screech. Spellcast rank 0. Speed 6, melee 4+, defense 4+. 5 attacks, nerve 13-15, 150 points. Fly, Mindthirst, nimble, pathfinder and stealthy. Got lightning bolt 6, mind fog 6 and wind blast 6. I can't see in most instances when it would use my Wind Blast at all. I can see it using more in support options in the sense of it's casting Lightning Bolt or Mind Fog every so often. Have it near the back of your army, so, and have it sneaking forward a little bit. So once you can see a little bit around because it's height 5, you could go, oh, that's unit's taking some damage, Mind Fog. Or who wants some damage before one of my units goes in for the kill next turn? Ah, you, Lightning Bolt. You just use it to pepper enemy with some damage so your other units can go in and clean up. It's not there as a frontline thing, but let's face it, for a lot of the Nightstalkers, most of the big stuff is there to clean up. Next we have the Planar Apparition. Spellcaster rank 0. Speed 7, melee 3+, defense 3+. 4 attacks, nerve 13-15, 165 points. Crushing strength 1, dread, ensnare, mind thirst, nimble, regeneration 4+, and stealthy. It's got heal 7 and mind fog 2. Can take icy breath 8 for 25 points and bastion 2, and can only have one of these in your army for 20 points. Maybe icy breath, because icy breath slows your opponent down, and icy breath 8 isn't bad. It's probably going to be there for more the healing options, and the thing with it is it's going to be hard to take down because it's got regeneration 4, which means it's going to be healing quite a bit. It's also got ensnare, which means if it does get charged, your opponent's not going to find it easy to take it down. It's also got dread, which again, it's going to be hurtful if it does get in combat, but it is there just to throw out some healing. The thing is, if it's standing behind some of your units, one of the best units you could use these for is things like butchers and the whatnot, because they're height 3. You would get the Planar Apparition would get cover, so war machines and the like would be -2 to hit them because of stealthy and cover stack. So yeah, I think it's one of them that'd be really good for support, like the Mind Screech. They're two good monsters used for support options. The Mind Screech is there to cause pepper pot enemies with Lightning Bolt and Mind Fog every so often. This is here to heal your units and mainly Icy Breath and Mind Fog a little bit. It's all helpful. It's all helpful. Last we have the Horace Weavers. Speed 6, melee 4+, defense 3+. D6 plus 6 attacks, nerve 13-15, 120 points. Crushing strength 1, dread, individual, mighty, mind thirst, and stealthy. I am struggling to see the point of these, to be honest. The problem with these, I feel, is that they are all shades of nothing. They've got minimum of 7 attacks, maximum of 12, crushing strength 1, and they've got dread, which is great. But their defense is horrible, their nerve is horrible. They've got no unit strength, which I've not talked about before, but it's more for objective things, which is it's a bit horrible. I mean, monsters are only unit strength 1, but unit strength 0, yeah. It's a cheap-ish unit. The other problem with it is it's individual, so you don't get flank or rage charge bonuses. That what turns them off for me. I really won't bother with them. I don't know why they aren't in the swarm category, because that's essentially what they are. A swarm. Yes, they'd be height 2, but why not put them in the swarm category? That way they get the flank and the rear charge bonuses. Next we have the large cavalry on page 371. Starting with the Fiends. Speed 8, melee 4+, defense 4+. Regiment 12 attacks, nerve 13-15, 130 points. Horde 24 attacks, nerve 16-18, 215 points. Crusher strength 1, mind thirst, stealthy, vicious in melee. These ain't bad. These ain't bad. They've got a hell of a lot of attacks. That is a pretty good thing for them. Their nerve is also not too shabby. They're also fairly decent pointed. They're kind of like larger, more rapid punching butchers. Obviously, they've only got crush strength 1 rather than crush strength 2, and the defense isn't as good. But at speed 8, they are going to be really, really important for your opponent to take down. Much like the Soul Flayers. They are a regular spellcaster rank 0. Speed 10, melee 3+, defense 4+. Regiment 9 attacks, nerve 13-15, 165 points. Crush strength 1, fly, mind thirst, stealthy, thunderous charge 1, and they've got wind blast 5. I can't see much point of why they've got wind blast at all. I just don't understand it. Surely you want to be able to reach them. Yes, you're pushing them away so they might not be able to charge you, but with Wind Blast 5, chances are whatever was going to charge you will charge you next turn, so that Wind Blast is going to be useless. The only thing I can think of that for is to manoeuvre a unit around so one of your other units charges next turn a bit more effectively. That being said though, they are kind of better Fiends in a sense. You can't hoard them out, the attacks you don't get as many, and you haven't got Vicious. That is their main downsides of the Soul Flayers. The upsides is you can fly, they're faster, they hit on 3s rather than 4s, and they've got more offensive capabilities because they've got Thunderous Charge. Yes, there's 35 points more for a regiment rather than the Fiends 130 points, but for what you get for that, it's kind of worth it. So there's a point to having either or. Do you want something that's got a hell of a lot of attacks, or do you want something that's really fast that can punch people fairly hard? Next we have the Titans on page 371. Starting with the Terror. Speed 7, melee 3+, defense 3+. 10 attacks, nerve, dash 19, 250 points. Crushing strength 2, ensnare, mind thirst, regeneration 4+, stealthy and strider. Terror's pretty good. It's got 10 attacks, nerve of dash 19, so fearless. It's got ensnare and crush strength 2, and it hits on 3s. And speed 7 meaning it's got charge range of 14. That is going to be a bit of a hard thing to take down. Just like the Shadow Hulk. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5+. D6 plus 6 attacks, nerve, dash 20, 225 points. Crush strength 3, mind thirst, stealthy and strider. This is the thing. The Shadow Hulk can punch a lot harder. It's not as fast. It doesn't have the definite amount of attacks that the Terror does. Its nerve's a bit better. It doesn't have regeneration and it doesn't have ensnare. The thing is, the Shadow Hulk's just there to just punch people really hard, end off. The Terror is there for the long game because regeneration is really going to help it. Yes, it's hit on 3s, but that regeneration is really going to make sure it stays in for the long run. And a giant hulking Cyclops, weird looking thing with stealthy is just a scary prospect. For 225 points, that is really good. 250 points for the Terror, you might think twice on, but considering what I've just said, it's still not a bad investment, I feel. Finally, for the Titans, we have the Portal of Despair, and you can only have one of these in your army. Speed 5, melee 4+, defense 5+. 3 attacks, nerve, dash 16, 90 points. It has dread. No stealthy or mind thirst, no. Visions from the Void. As long as this unit is present and in play on the table at the start of each range phase, you may select a single friendly core unit on the battlefield, regardless of range or line of sight. The selected unit is granted the Inspiring Special Rule until the start of your next turn. Note, base size cannot be increased beyond 75mm, which is kind of makes sense because considering what it can do, that would be cheating. Or, well, I suppose it would. as it'd only give your opponent advantage, really, wouldn't it? Because it means they can charge it a bit sooner. The Portal of Despair wants going at the back. End of. You don't want it anywhere else at the back. You want to look where your opponent's putting stuff and put it last. You do not want to put anything but last, so you know where your stuff's going to be and where it's most likely going to be protected. Another thing to watch out for is the fact it hasn't got stealthy. This is its main weakness. What you could do to help it, and it is a bit expensive, it makes it technically 255 points, is have a Planar Apparition near it, so it can cast heal on it. That way it's getting a fair few wounds back each turn, and that Planar Apparition with regeneration 4+, it's going to be hard to take it down. It's expensive, I grant you, and it's taking up a monster slot and a Titan slot, so you are going to need a fair few hordes, legions, or big units essentially to be able to take both. But if you can pull it off, it isn't a bad thing to do. I like the Portal of Despair. I mean, as its Visions from the Void is not a ranged attack, you can move out the double in any well, not in any direction. You can turn it sideways and then next turn move at the double, so move 10 inch one turn, go to the side 2.5 inch each turn, you know, do whatever you want, but it needs a little bit of a support. That is its main downside. Its nerve's not horrible, however. Nerve -16, it's a good job it's not a war machine, otherwise I would probably say no, even at 90 points, but as it's a Titan at 90 points, that's not bad. That's not bad. Next we have the heroes, starting on page 372. The Dread Fiend is a large cavalry hero. Speed 8, melee 3+, defense 4+. 5 attacks, nerve 14-16, 135 points. Crush strength 2, dread, mind thirst, nimble, stealthy, vicious in melee. It's not bad. It's not bad. And the only thing, it's like a lot of heroes that's large, like large cavalry, large infantry, that sort of thing. I wish they'd have at least 7 attacks, otherwise it just seems a bit all enough, just nothing sort of thing. Just give me a few more attacks. Come on. Come on. The Void Lurker then is a Titan hero. Speed 10, melee 3+, defense 4+. 10 attacks, nerve 17-19, 270 points. He ain't cheap. Crush strength 2, fly, mind thirst, nimble, regeneration 5+, stealthy, thunderous charge 1. It's just basically there to just damage stuff. This is the antithesis of the thing I've been saying of, if you don't kill the big stuff, it doesn't matter how much Nightstalker small stuff you've killed, the big stuff will always mop up. This is kind of what I've been talking about. It's speed 10, it hits on 3s, it's got 10 attacks, it's got crushing strength 2 and thunderous charge 1. And bear in mind, as it's a hero, you can put it on a bigger base and you can give it a magical item. And it is horrendous. I'm sorry, it just is. The only really downside, I suppose you could say, is its defense is a bit low and regeneration's not 4 but 5. Apart from, and alright, the points cost if you want to get pernickety, but I think it's worth its points cost really, really well. I've got one. I'm going to have to put a picture up at some point, but yeah, if you got the chance to take one, go for one. Next then, we have the Shade. Speed 10, melee 3+, defense 5+. 5 attacks, nerve 11-13, 135 points. Crusher strength 1, dread, fly, individual, mind thirst, stealthy, and can take a scream shard for 5 points. I was arguing at some point that Shades are pretty decent. That being said though, for the same points cost, you can have a Dread Fiend, and they've got better crushing strength, they've got better nerve, they're just better overall, to be honest. Yes, the Shade can fly, and got defense 5 rather than 4, but it's individual, so you can get the flank and rear bonuses, and your opponent can ignore it if they want. Can't ignore a Druid Fiend. Horrors then, spellcaster rank 1, and it's a infantry hero. The Shade is an infantry hero also. Speed 6, melee 5+, defense 3+. 1 attack, nerve 11-13, 165 points, not 165 points. I apologise. Individual, Mind Thirst and Stealthy, Lightning Bolt 3. And you can have Aura, Vicious in melee, infantry only, for 30 points. Seems a bit expensive. Bane Chant 2 for 20 points, or 3 if it replaces Lightning Bolt. It's an option. Mind Fog 2 for 15 points. Again, not a bad option. Weakness 2 for 15 points. Maybe, but it's not priority. The thing is, you could keep it at 65 points and just have it flinging lightning bolts around. The thing is, you could have 2 with flinging lightning bolts around, and it's still slightly cheaper than a Mind Shriek. Of course, they're a bit shorter and they're not nearly as durable. Bane Chant's pretty good. Mind Fog's pretty good. It does become expensive. I mean, that's 45. No, it's not. It's 35 points. So that's 100 points for 3 spells on someone that, if someone looks at it wrong for too long, it's going to die. Maybe take 1 or 2 of these just with either Lightning Bolt or Bane Chant. Other than that, it's cheap. That's its main strength. It's cheap. The Banshee then is a infantry hero and spellcaster rank 0. Speed 10, melee 6+, defense 4+. 1 attack, nerve, dash 12, 145 points. Dread, fly, individual, mind thirsty and stealthy. Banshee Wail, while casting, Wind Blast or Enthrall, in addition to moving the target, roll to damage for each hit scored. And it's got Enthrall 5 and Wind Blast 5. I won't take a load of these, but I'd use them as a support roll to push and pull enemy units where you want them to, so you can set up charges a bit more effectively. At 145 points, it ain't cheap, but as a annoyance unit to push and pull things around, it's not bad. You've got to watch out for the fact that its nerve is horrible and it's no combat specialist. Let's say that. I'd probably only take 1, to be honest, because it's fairly expensive. Put in the comments below if you take more than 1, because chances are you probably know better than me. But you know, I like them. The model looks really nice. I'll tell you that much. Reaper Soul Drinker. Here we are. It's a hero infantry hero. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 4+. 5 attacks, nerve 10-12, 65 points. Aura, Light Leaf 1, Reaper only. Crush Strength 1, Duelist, Individual, Mind Thirst and Stealthy. Can take a Scream Shard for 5 points. This is the one I've been talking about to combo with your Reapers and give them Scream Shards. There's also a magic item that gives Leech Life 1, so you could be giving 1 unit of Reapers Leech Life 4 for a turn. So in that instance, probably make that unit a regiment so it can really soak up the damage. Only go for a lot of Soul Drinkers if you're having a lot of Reapers. Only probably take 1 at the most, and I honestly wouldn't go for a Scream Shard on these because, well, let's face it, if it is going to get into combat, it's just going to die because it's nerve of 10-12. It's not really a stand-up sort of thing. It's mainly there for the Light Sleeve. This is one of the few heroes that I'd probably always take for Nightstalkers. Have 2 troops of Reapers and then have that nearby, maybe with the magical item that increases the range of auras by 3 inch, so it's got a 9 inch aura, and it's really going to help Reapers out. And because it's the same height, your opponent ain't going to see it unless it's got indirect weaponry. And it's 65 points, it's fairly cheap. Finally, for the heroes, we've got the Butcher Flesh Ripper. As my camera just moved, I've noticed. There we are. Speed 6, melee 3+, defense 5+. It's a large infantry hero, if you didn't notice. 5 attacks, nerve, dash 14, 110 points. Crush strength 2, mind thirst, nimble and stealthy. It's not bad. It's fearless. Hits on 3s, crush strength 2 with 5 attacks. I've said before, it needs at least 7 to be pretty good. But 110 points, it's not bad. It's all shades of okay. I mean, it's 25 points less than the Dread Fiend. It's fearless. I'd rather go for a Dread Fiend because it's faster. Yeah, I'd rather do that, to be honest. And its nerves better. But it's cheap. The Flesh Ripper's cheap. And lastly, we come to the unique unit. There's only one on page 373, and it is the Dream Hunter. It is a heavy infantry hero. Speed 7, melee 3+, defense 5+. 7 attacks, nerve 14, 16, 195 points. Crush strength 1, dread, elite in melee, individual, light sleeve 2, mighty, mind thirst and stealthy. Unleash nightmare. Friendly core units that are engaged with the same enemy unit as the Dream Hunter have elite in melee. He's not bad. He's a little bit expensive, to be honest, but he's got the requirements of a large thing, even though he's not large. He is mighty, so your opponent is going to have to kill him before he gets into units behind him. And light sleeve 2, so he's around a fair bit. His nerve's pretty decent, to be honest, and crush strength 1, 7 attacks hitting on 3s. He is going to be an annoyance. I can see the point in taking him, I can see the point in not taking him. It's an either and or sort of thing. He's not high up on the list of things to take, to be honest, but he's not terrible either. I've said this a few times in the video before, and I'll say it again. Doesn't matter how much Nightstalker small stuff you kill, if there's a lot of big stuff remaining, you are going to have a huge problem. This is an army where the synergy of the small stuff peppering your opponent with damage, and you think, oh, I've killed all the small stuff, yay. Those butchers, those terrors, those void lurkers and all the rest of it are going to clean you up pretty quickly. This is an army that is going to do really well against shooty armies, so your dwarves and elves, yeah, it's going to hurt you a fair bit. Against armies with a lot of close combat attacks, it'll be a bit more effective against Nightstalkers. Like the Herd, they've got a lot of attacks on them. I think the Nightstalkers aren't a bad army for most occasions, apart from using them as a shooting army. Their overall shooting is naff. They've got good support shooting in terms of horrors and mind screechers. Other than that, though, their shooting is poor at best. They've got good support options in terms of the Soul Drinkers, in terms of Banshees, horrors, Planar Apparitions, Portals of Despair, that sort of thing. They've got good things to support the army overall. The big downsides of them is their defence is low and they've got no inspiring and not that good shooting. That being said, though, stealthy, like I've said, will help them a lot. And a fair few of the big things have got regeneration or something else that will hinder your opponent in some way. You can also really block out some of your small stuff with hordes and legions all over the shop. So even in objective games, these will really, really rake it in. These are a really good force, and basically, even in visual appearance, your opponent won't know what the hell they're looking at. Especially on the heroes front, you just look at it and go, yep, it's a thing. I'd better kill it. Or, yep, that's a unit of things. Better kill them. Another downside I've just realised is model-wise, a lot of these models don't exist. Some of the hero variants of the units, that's kind of to be expected, but the Void Lurker, I don't really know what that looks like. The Portal of Despair, that's not got a model. The Bloodworms and Doppelgangers haven't got models, but the Doppelgangers, you can have them look however you want, so that's kind of negated somewhat. Planar Apparition, not sure what that's supposed to look like, but hopefully they'll release them at some point. I know they're doing Soulflame models. They're kind of like Grim Reapers riding, I think, 8-legged skeletal flayed skinned horses, I think. I'm not sure, but I think that's the case. But yeah, these are pretty good close combat army. They are a bit of a glass cannon in the sense that their defense is low, but they can hit really hard. So if you like the sound of some weird, freakish looking models that will scare your opponent somewhat, that can hit pretty well, Nightstalkers are for you. Goodbye for now.